Hi, my name is Marlene Sisson, and this is my conclusion video for the ASQ. The first question is, what are the implications to social work and my understanding of, or the understanding of child development? And I learned that the ASQ is really important about helping us learn how children communicate, their gross motor, their fine motor, how they solve problems and interact, and how well they're developing. And the ASQ helps us be able to identify their needs and connect them to the resources that they might need in society if they do need something. I noticed too, while I was doing the ASQ, that it also seems to encourage parents to pay attention to the child's development themselves, and they'll even comment how they could do better or do something differently or what they're doing really well. And it seems like it instills a sense of pride in them, and I thought that was really cool. The other thing too is if we're able to kind of tell the parents where their child is at developmentally and where they can do better, then the parents can maybe work on that, and hopefully there won't be any miscommunications with the parent and the child, and the parents might not have too high of expectations. I wanted to show, when I did my ASQ, I'm covering up the name, but I had my child just draw on the paper as I did the test and that kind of kept them close to where I could interact with the child and decide what I'm going to do, because the child I evaluated was 24 months old. And the other question is the ASQ a good tool we use with populations of the Southwest? I live in Utah. It's pretty close to the Southwest. We're more considered to be the West. But I would say totally it's a great tool that you could use anywhere. You just have to keep in mind culture and society and what's going on in that environment, and be sensitive to the issues in the area, and be careful of the approach that you use and the way you talk about the questions, and make sure the parents don't get defensive. But if you do it the right way based on their culture, it should be just fine. If it shows a lower score, I would definitely consider environment. Some cultures or environments, if it's a major poverty area, it might not be a poverty issue. It might not be a IQ issue. It might be a poverty issue. And so the child may be smart and may have the capacity to develop, but they just don't have the tools around them. Maybe the parents are really busy and they can't put forth the effort that they want to with their kid. So we've got to keep that in mind and discuss that with the parents so they don't take things too hard if the child doesn't do as well as they hoped. What I learned from this experience was how to do an ASQ. I had never done one before. I'd heard of it, and I found it so fascinating. And I've always worked with adult populations. I've never worked with children. And so I learned a lot from it. I also learned how well it works, and that just taking that test, administering this kind of tool, helps gauge how well or not well a child is doing. And I found that fascinating, and I wouldn't mind administering these kind of tests all the time as a career. I kind of learned that once you know how to do the ASQ, you could probably evaluate kids in your family or your neighbor, and kind of realize if they're developmentally delayed a little bit. And if you use the right amount of tact, then you could maybe help somebody if you feel like it's appropriate. The one thing about that, I knew the child that I was testing, and I was surprised that they scored as well as they did. And you just never know. I mean, once you start asking questions, a child's capabilities and abilities can just blossom in front of you. And I found that really impressive and cool. The other thing is the thing that I learned from this experience is you really learn about the family dynamics, how well they function together, and how they interact. And not only are you finding out the child's development, but you're kind of finding out the family development and how they're doing what together. And I found that to be really cool. And I enjoyed doing this assignment and learning about the ASQ, and I hope I encounter this in my professional career. Thank you so much for your time.